Peace. So I'm just going to wait for some people to come in the room. Today, I am talking about whether getting pregnant is nasty, or the title of this video is Sex is Nasty or Getting Pregnant is Nasty. And so that's what I want to talk about today. So how are you? How are you doing? How did you all like my 7 days of boosting your fertility naturally videos that I made? Thank you all for taking part in that. And I just want to let you know that it is going to continue. This is actually an extension of that video. And while we're at it, rest in peace to the brother XXXTentacion. You know, he showed improvement, he showed dedication, showed heart, but he also showed that materialism is a very deadly weapon. It showed that addiction to the system of white supremacy has very dire consequences. And he also showed that the mindset of our people needs a lot of work. Our people need a lot of work. Having a Western mindset is a very deadly thing. So that's also what I want to talk about today, is a Western mindset. But first, I just want to tell you about my experience with sex, especially growing up and being somewhat religious, somewhat religious, I'll say that much, because I wasn't really part of churches or anything like that, but I still had a very religious mindset. But anyways, let's get into it. So I used to think sex was very nasty, y'all. I used to think that sex was like something that you really needed to clean yourself of, and that the body was unclean, and the stuff that was coming from the body were unclean. And like, this really affected me for like most of my teenage years, even up until my mid-20s, right? So this is just very recently that I've pretty much gotten over this aversion, or this kind of mentality that sex was like icky, and that is something that is like, you do it, but just make sure you know that after that, you're dirty, right? So I guess I'll get into it. So, when I was younger, I used to really enjoy sex. I liked sex. And when I say younger, don't go too far with the hypotheses and everything, but I really did enjoy sex. And I think it got to a point where I was kind of addicted to sex, right? That's a whole nother video. But for this video, I really just want to talk about how I thought that sex was nasty. And I used to like do things. Like, I used to have whole rituals about having sex. And I believe a lot of people have these rituals too today, right? But one of my rituals surrounding having sex was that as soon as I was done, I would go and I would bathe myself with hot water, a lot of soap. And not only would I bathe myself, I would wash any clothing that came in contact with my body or anything during the sex, especially if I thought that like vaginal fluid or semen or anything had touched it, or touched the bed and then got on the clothes that maybe had been on the bed. I used to wash the sheets, okay? If I felt like any vaginal fluid or anything got on the sheets. And I know some people still do that, and will say, oh, you're supposed to, but like, it was a whole nother level for me. It was not only that I washed the sheets and that I feel like I had to wash my clothes and that I feel like I had to bathe myself. I felt like I had to do this by a certain time. Like, it was a certain time limit after having sex that I had to do this within. So that time frame was like based on religious practices and so forth, based on the Bible, that you're supposed to basically cleanse yourself before the evening. So in my mind, if I didn't get these sheets washed, these clothes cleaned, washed, laundried, whatever, and my body scrubbed before the sunset, I considered myself unclean. I considered myself dirty. I considered the sheets and all that, the bed, everything just nasty. Throw it all away. Throw the whole mattress away. Okay. And that was pretty much my mentality. And since I knew I was never going to throw my mattress away, it just continued to just layer on and compound on the feeling of nastiness and dirtiness and just defiled. Like I literally felt defiled, right? So this went on for like, I would say, I don't know, because let's just say this whole thing went on for about 10 years, right? So imagine 10 years of just feeling nasty about sex, knowing that you enjoy sex. Sex is a beautiful part of life and everything. And, you know, you're getting a lot of mixed messages. You're hearing songs that are based on your culture and so forth that, you know, promote sex and promote intercourse with the woman and her attractiveness and so forth. But then on the other hand, you're getting these other messages that the woman is nasty and unclean. And not just that the woman is nasty and clean, but sex is nasty and unclean. Semen, you know, is what you call it, contaminated or toxic after, you know, it leaves the body and touches something. That all of this needs to be washed, cleansed, and basically you need to be purified after you do all these things. And to make all of this worse, right, I wanted to have a baby. I wanted to get pregnant. I wanted to start a family early. I wanted a family young, but I just couldn't get my mind around this whole idea of just how to do all that in like a sane manner and like keep my head straight without thinking about what the hell I just did and all this wet spots on, you know, the sheets and the clothes, and just trying to gauge just how much that meant that I was unclean and how long I was going to be unclean for. Did I need to make atonement? You know, did I need to pray I was literally praying for forgiveness, y'all. I'm sorry, forgive me for this vaginal fluid that has soaked my bed sheets. Forgive me for coming all over. It was getting to that point, okay? Right? And like I said, I wanted a baby, right? But I had this mindset that I was unclean, that I was dirty. And so ultimately, I feel like a lot of people, if you read what I read and if you've heard what I heard and have experienced what I've heard, there are a lot of other people that probably feel this way, right? And this is just one example of what I consider to be a Western mindset, something that, you know, a mindset that was given to us. We would not necessarily be thinking these thoughts on our own, right? We would not necessarily have this type of self-hatred, you know, on our own. And I think on our own, we would obviously deal with this in a more saner manner. Like, okay, well, you know, if I have some spillage on me or some fluid on me, and the fluid is, I don't know, it's drying up on my skin and it's getting sticky and maybe funky or whatever, obviously we should wash it off, right? But I think when you have the whole other Western mindset that is kind of implanted in you through religion or through whatever other means, I think it just adds a whole nother layer of not only stress, but shame, guilt, condemnation, self-condemnation, self-hatred, right? And like I said, I was trying to also have a baby. So I feel like when you're trying to have a baby and you have these other programs, which I'm going to call them programs, when you have these other programs running in the back of your mind, I think it makes it just that much harder, right? I think that if you want to have a baby, you want to be able to have a healthy mindset. You want to be able to know that you're doing the best thing, you're doing the right thing. You don't need the extra tension. You don't need the extra layers of not only regret, but like resentment, self-resentment, right? And I experienced a lot of that, right? So how many of you are experiencing some of that, right? How many of you are trying to have a baby, but maybe you have some other programming running in the back of your mind that kind of goes against being a wholesome being, being a self-loving being, being somebody who is firm, you know, firm in themselves enough to know that you can bring a baby into this world, to have pure self-love, you know, to be able to share this love with other people, and not to be teaching that child that they are dirty, that they are unclean, you know. So I think that having these thoughts, right, these engrams, I can't remember what they call it, but I think it's engrams they call them in Scientology or whatever. But these extra, deep-seated subconscious ideas running in the background, just messing with your true divine goal and purpose and desire, to want to have a child and to start a family and so forth. I think that these things are very toxic and very detrimental, right? So I think that some of the things that are included in a Western mindset is just this whole infertile mindset. And that's like a very deep-seated mindset, because a lot of that was population control, right? Taught to us via the Bible, taught to us via religion. Population control. If you think sex is dirty and nasty, if you think all these things, if you're going to have to go through all these extra steps to not only clean yourself, and I'm telling you, you're not supposed to only clean yourself, you are supposed to clean yourself with running water. So it's not good enough that, you may have water in a bowl or something that you can wipe yourself with a rag, while you're there. It's not good enough that you can just use some wipes, or a wet rag or whatever, or just change your clothes and just change the sheets. No, you got to wash yourself with running water. So if you got to go through all these extra steps, why wouldn't you just ditch it and say, well, you know what, I'm just not gonna have no sex today. I'm sorry. I don't care how horny I am. I don't care if I'm ovulating. I don't care, if you can smell my pheromones from, 2 rooms away. We're not doing it today because, it's almost evening and I don't feel like washing all these sheets, changing my clothes and bathing right now. Right? So I think some of that is an infertile mindset in somewhat population control, right? And we know Black people are really, ingrained, are really caught up into the religion. So I feel like it affects us predominantly, right? And then let's just combine that with not getting any new information, right? Because a lot of this information is like, from the Bible, which was written who knows how long ago. And back when there was not per se maybe running water for a lot of the people that this book may have been written for, or whatever the case may be, right? So for them, it might have even been way worse. You talking about having to go to the river, having to go to the ocean to rinse off. Why would you have sex then, if you know that God is going to look down at you and say that you're dirty and you're nasty? And I just feel like just a lot of these mindsets have been adapted and to modern times. So sure, we have the one running water, but now we have a lot more other things, bed sheets, all these, different type of clothing and lingerie, and just, sex is even promoted more on a certain level. So, you're encouraged to have sex 3 or 4 times a day, every day with your spouse. That is not necessarily going to help you have a baby. You might drain the energies out of your body and deplete your resources. So even those ideas, even having more sex is not necessarily good for you, and it's not necessarily promoting fertility, right? So a lot of things go into having a Western mindset. We have infertile mindsets. We have not getting new information. Again, meaning you're not trying to question these thoughts that you have in your mind. You're not trying to question, what you learned. Maybe not questioning, well, why do I have to wash everything with running water? What's the worst that's going to happen if, this stays on the bed past sunset? What's going to happen to me per se, my soul? What's going to happen to me? Why am I going to be condemned for something that happens naturally, that something was pleasurable, for something that could bring forth a baby? Why can't I just sleep and just enjoy that good, that I just got? Well, why not? So not getting new information, not asking questions, feeling ashamed to ask questions, feeling scared, feeling condemned, feeling as though you are somehow going to be casted out for even thinking these things because somebody's reading your mind, right? So you just go with the programming out of fear, out of shame, and out of lack, right? And out of not understanding yourself and who we are here, right? So that's another thing that just goes into this Western mindset. And another thing that I want to point out is that we also have the mindset of planned unpregnancy, right? So what do I mean by that? Well, not just planned unpregnancy, but planned infertility. A lot of people don't know that they are planning their own infertility. And this is taught to us in school. This is taught to us in health settings, such as at your doctor's office, flyers, TV, posters, billboards, whatever you see, commercials, right? Planned infertility. So you have planned pregnancy, and then you have planned infertility or planned unpregnancy, right? And most people are operating off of the program of planned infertility and wondering why they cannot get pregnant when you have been taught how not to get pregnant. You have been schooled on how not to get pregnant. A lot of you have degrees on how not to get pregnant. You know just where to put the IUD. You know how to put that cup in. You know how to fit that sponge in. You know where to put that gel. You know not to have sex, you know, a week, you know, up until when you think you're going to ovulate, right? And then don't have no more sex until about after a week. After you do that, you know all of that, right? But a lot of us don't know how to get pregnant, right? A lot of us don't know how to increase our vaginal fluid to support semen, right? To enter in the body. A lot of us don't know, the signs to look for fertility, right? So infertility is just another one of these, effects of the Western mindset that I feel like is just plaguing us so much. If I think that, sex is nasty and dirty, guess what? I'm probably not going to have a baby, because what's going to happen when I do have the baby? That's going to be a lot more fluid. That's going to be a lot more I might, I might definitely toss the bed out then. I might toss the room out. All that fluid gushing. How am I going to clean that? I'm telling you, one time I had a baby and the water, it gushed literally across the room. So imagine if I had this same mindset. I might throw the wall away. I might throw the floor away. I might move out the house, right? So this Western mindset thing is it can be very detrimental if you don't get your mindset clear early on, especially if you are trying to have a baby, right? And not only that, I'm getting bit by a mosquito, yeah. Not only that, it's just tearing me up right now. Not only that, all the stress involved with this type of mindset, this type of thinking, it sends your hormones off, right? It takes you out of the mood for love. It takes you out of the mood for baby making. It takes you out of the mood for peace, for that balance that you need, right? And for giving that love and that peace and balance and harmony to others, right? It just creates so much stress in the body, right? That it can literally throw your hormones off to the point where your hormones say, well, you know what, this person is too stressed, this woman is too stressed. We are not going to be releasing any follicle stimulating hormone this month, or we are not going to be releasing that egg. Sorry, she will not be ovulating, or, who knows what, we're going to grow something else. All this stress, let's grow some fibroids. Let's block that up, So this Western mindset can affect you in a lot of ways. So I just want to make this video basically to share my experience of, when I did have a very Western mindset and how it affected me, and, how it really affected my pregnancy, fertility journey. And, I should share how I came out of that. Basically, well, my baby's coming right now, so I'm probably not going to be able to do that. I'll probably save it for another video. So thank you for watching. I am going to be having an event coming up, and it's going to be called Breaking the Spell of Black Infertility. So I hope you all check the description for that video later. It's going to be in the link on my page. So thank you for watching. Peace.